What's up, everyone? This has been Falcons Media Corner back again with another AK Afro Assault review episode for today. This one's going to be on another 2021 film. With this one, I wanted to get this one out of the way. So today's review is going to be my review on the 2021 neo-noir sci-fi mystery thriller, and that is Reminiscence. Now, this was directed by Lisa Joy in the directorial debut, which she is one of the creators of the TV show Westworld, which I've never watched. But this film stars Hugh Jackman as this investigator named Nick, who comes across this mysterious woman named May, played by Rebecca Ferguson, and starts to investigate more of her past, in which he's able to do that when he uses this machine that can help out anyone to discover about their past and stuff. And so for Nick Bannister, he becomes obsessed about this woman, and he's trying to investigate more about the truth about her, and then he finds himself in trouble, as well as his assistant Emily, played by Thandiwe, while they're trying to investigate about this mysterious woman. So that's pretty much the simple story, really, of Reminiscence. Now, this one, I was pretty interested in seeing this one, since I'm a big fan of Hugh Jackman. He's one of my favorite Australian actors, and I'm also a fan of Rebecca Ferguson as well, since I saw her in the Mission Impossible sequels, mostly Rogue Nation and Fallout. And I was also a big fan of her in other things like Doctor Sleep and, of course, The Greatest Showman. And I wasn't familiar with any of the cast members in this film, other than the two main stars. But I knew Thandiwe from a few things, as well as Cliff Curtis. And for Lisa Joy, I didn't know this was her first film as a director, other than I heard that she's one of the creators of Westworld. I've never watched that show, but the trailers did seem pretty interesting, and the concept did look pretty creative, because I do like creative, like, sci-fi films. Like some sci-fi films that have like creative ideas, even though most of them I kind of see nowadays, for some that do look like they do have like creative concepts, mostly are kind of like copy and paste films, really. But I was still going to go and see this nonetheless, though. And I went to see this back in August. I went to see this on my mom's birthday. But this was actually for a treat for myself, really, because my auntie, wasn't able to do anything for my birthday on my day of my birthday. But we went to see this a couple days after my 20th birthday together. And after walking out of this film, I thought this movie was just okay. It's definitely not the greatest sci-fi film. It's definitely not an atrocity of sci-fi, but it's just an okay watch. But we can just get to the positives first, and then we'll just talk to you guys about my main problems with this film. Of course, for Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson themselves, they're great in the film. I thought the acting was pretty solid enough, and the chemistry in this film I enjoyed for the most part. And for Thandiwe and Cliff Curtis, they were both good in the film. And I thought they were pretty good for their solid performances. Everyone else in the film were pretty solid enough, and the concept for the film, the whole concept and premise of this film was pretty creative about going into someone's past and all that. And it almost had like sort of like a time traveling vibe to it, even though it's not like, this film isn't about going to the future or anything. It's about going into someone's past, which I kind of totally dug into that. And it almost kind of reminded me of like a bit of like Minority Report and Inception in a way. It kind of reminded me of that when I was watching this movie. And the whole world that we're introduced to in this film is pretty creative for the whole city that we're introduced to, because most of them are like the whole city itself is like on water, which I kind of found that pretty creative. And for some directing moments like that, it's pretty well directed by Lisa Joy. However, the issues I have with this film, it's really its story. I kind of found portions of the story a bit confusing, and it kind of got a bit slow for a few scenes like that. Even though it's not a slow burn film. It's not like a 2.5 hour film or anything. It's only 1 hour and 56 minutes. So that's with credits. I just kind of found the film to be a bit slow and kind of almost a bit boring, and it's kind of messy at the same time for like some confusing moments in this film. And the action sequences in this film, there is action in this film, but the scenes for those, I kind of found that less memorable, and it's kind of messy, and it wasn't that really well directed. It's mostly like there are some gunplays in this film, but there's no signs of blood or anything like that. It's not a violent film or anything. It's PG-13, this film, but I just kind of wish the action scenes were directed a bit well better. And also another issue I have was its some of the character developments. It's not for like the two main stars. It's mostly for the other characters, like Thandiwe's character. I kind of found her being a bit underdeveloped, and for the villain as well, I kind of found him a bit really underdeveloped as well. That was another issue I had. The only issues I just have with this film is just its story being confusing and messy, and the action sequences which weren't that well directed, and it's kind of slow paced and has some underdeveloped characters. But in the end, guys, Reminiscence, I didn't hate this film. It's not the worst film I've seen of last year. It's just an okay watch. And if you're a fan of like these kind of like mystery sci-fi thrillers, or if you're a fan of like these kind of like movies that involves like there's almost a bit like a time traveling film, even though it's like going into the past and stuff. Or if you're a fan of like the cast like Hugh Jackman or Rebecca Ferguson, you might have a good time with this one. But personally, I just thought it was just an okay time for myself. Yeah, I'm going to give Reminiscence 2.5 out of 5. Like I said, it's just an okay watch. It's definitely not a bad watch. And well, when after I saw, critics were kind of not that like well receiving this film, and some audiences they were kind of mixed in between. Personally, for myself, it was just a mediocre watch, and it's definitely not a bad experience for myself seeing this on the big screen I've had all years. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK after I saw review on Reminiscence, and let me know what you think of this film if you have seen this already. Did you have a blast with this, or was this not really a popcorn treat here? So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more reviews, and as always, this is Ben Foggins Media Corner signing off.